Welcome to the Encourager Podcast with Rebekah Scott. I believe that if you desire an active, impactful role in your children's lives while simultaneously wanting to provide an income for your family, then being a mompreneur is exactly what you need to work from home. The Encourager Podcast is my way of inspiring and motivating you with insightful knowledge, tips, and advice from myself and other successful working women who want to put their families first. You can do this. We're going to help walk through it. Let's take action and encourage one another.
Hello, encouragers. So this is part 2 with Joshua Becker, and we're going to talk a little bit more details about how to get our family involved, because now that we're motivated and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we've had this shift occur where we're like, you know what, I don't want to own so much stuff, and I don't want to be responsible for so many things when I'm responsible for so many gifts that God has given me in all these different roles. I want to major in that and not major in things. But it may look a little different when we're trying to convince our family or small children when you do, in fact, i.e., admittedly, have 41 Barbies. And good luck, Joshua, convincing my daughters which ones they should and shouldn't keep. So we would like you to help us a little bit with how we do toy rooms and children's mentality and all of that. Can you share some advice for those type of situations?
Yeah, I can help your daughter specifically.
Okay.
I can offer some non-specific ideas that may or may not work for people. Okay.
Sure.
No, so let's talk minimalism and kids. So let's start with this statement that I feel like I always need to say, and as many times as I can, I will. It is entirely unfair for you as a mother or father to start by minimizing your kids' things. That would be unfair. It is, I think, what most of us as parents think about, all the toys in the toy room and the kids' bedroom and the toys that are in the living room, right? We picture all these things. We're like, oh, she has so many toys. I can't wait to, get rid of her Barbies. But you really can't do that, and you really shouldn't do that. Like you need to start with your own things first. And you need to go through your own drawers and your own closet and your own toys and your own clothes and your own kitchen. First of all, as you do that, there's going to be a natural tendency where your kid's going to see that, right? They're going to see that you're getting rid of a bunch of your clothes, and you're getting rid of things out of the kitchen. And so they're going to see it, and they're going to ask questions. And even if they don't ask questions, you can still explain to them, this is what I'm doing, and this is why I'm doing it. So they see that example, and that's a big one. Like, I don't think we realize how many toys our kids have and how much of that is just a reflection on the same life that we're living. I always think of like the Target example, where the mom and the child are at Target, and the kid wants a toy, and the mom's getting upset that the kid wants a toy. And I always just think to myself, like, the kid didn't drive themselves to Target. I mean, they're in Target because the mom wanted to buy something for herself. Granted, maybe it was, paper towels for the family, right? But for some reason, she wanted to buy something. So she goes to Target to buy it. It's probably unfair to get upset that the kid would think that that's what you do in Target, is you pick out something to buy because then you take it home. Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of just
we have gotten, the kids know when we do get this free Saturday or free evening, because sometimes it only takes 20 minutes to sort a drawer. Thankfully, mine are at the stage where they like it enough. They're like, no fair. I got to sort out 2 drawers and I only got to do 1. And I'm like, thank you, God, for giving me awesome kids that do see the benefits of owning less, or at least feeling like, okay, I know which outfits I'm going to wear because I'm not staring at 15 pairs of leggings. They like to know, okay, here's where all my pants go, here's where all my shirts go. Let's move on to the next thing and let's go play.
Yeah.
But it takes a little bit to get there. So I think it's smart, too, that you said help them choose. So what I do when we go to our toy room and clean that out, and Angie has helped me do that. She's incredible with thinking through what you do and don't need and organizing it, which is another subject. I do realize organizing is different than minimalism. But anyways, I said, you've got 14 puzzles here, and you clearly only play with 3 of them. I'm going to let you choose, but out of these, pick 3. And so then they sit, and, some kiddos have, like Rosalind, it's my little pack rat, so she has a harder time getting rid of it, but it'll take a couple of days, and then I'll say, okay, let's not get rid of it right now. Let's just keep it. And if you don't play with it in the next 4 days, maybe then you'll know it's time to get rid of it. And it was Lincoln Logs for us. And she's like, I love Lincoln Logs. I'm like, okay, I didn't know you like Lincoln Logs because you haven't played with them in a year, but we'll try that. So we put it on the shelf, and sure enough, about 4 days later, I go, Rosalind, what do you think about the Lincoln Logs now? And she goes, I don't need them. And it was like no buildup or anything. She was just totally done with it, and we were able to do that. So that has worked for us as far as letting them make the choice, because if you get rid of everything, by the time they're 16, they're going to be holed up in their room with piles of things because they're worried you're going to take them away.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think the more that we can empower our kids to make those own decisions, certainly the better. I think that the earlier that we implement these ideas into their life, the better. Now, that doesn't mean you can't begin implementing them when they're a little bit older, but if you've been living one way and your son is now 15 or 16, it might be a little difficult to suddenly say, hey, we're changing everything up on you, as opposed to, catch them when they're younger and, hey, this is how we do things, and this is why we do things. I think that particularly for younger children, the physical boundaries can be very helpful. Actually, I think boundaries are super helpful for kids all the way around, helping them learn that and see that. And so when we first started, we were in Vermont, and my kids had a whole toy room that was full of toys. We did all our rooms, and we finally got to their room. I think my son was probably ready for it, or knew eventually we were going to get to his stuff. And we said, look, we're going to take this wall, and you can have whatever toys you want that fit against this wall. And you can decide which ones go, but if it doesn't fit against this wall, then we're not gonna keep it. And so he was able to pick and choose and decide which ones to keep. We're in Arizona. We moved into a smaller home when we moved here, and so now it's like my daughter's closet. We're like, whatever toys you can fit on the floor in your closet, you can keep. But once it starts overflowing, then we're going to decide what to get rid of and what to hold on to. And that works for like her art things. We have a bin underneath her bed, and her clothes that have to fit in the drawers. But that certainly empowers them to make their own decisions on some of those things. When they get a little older, I think my son's 15, so maybe I'll change my mind when they're 16, 17, 18, but it seems to be once they start reaching that age, I think that I usually talk about like personal space versus shared spaces. And so, hey, it's your bedroom, right? Like you can do what you want in your bedroom, but out in the living room, we don't want to see a bunch of your stuff being left around. Out here, you can manage your own space, but the shared living areas where we can control some of those boundaries a little bit more.
I kind of feel the same way too. I'm trying to get everybody to go with one blanket, like one blanket for when you watch a movie or whatever. There's no reason to have 3 different nestling blankets. So it's hard to convince them right now. So we haven't wrapped around just yet. And my son was the 5 pillows on his bed. I'm like, sweetheart, you only sleep on one. He goes, nope. I pack them around my bed like this, Mom. I'm like, oh, okay, so what do you think would be fair? And he said to me, how about 3? And I'm like, sold. Let's go with 3. And then in a year or 2, I might be able to say, do you still sleep with all of them surrounded by you, or what do you need? Because I keep thinking of that. What you say in the book is every time you straighten something, and forgive me if I'm saying it wrong, but every time you spend time straightening something or reorganizing something or loading, whatever it is, that's that much less time to spend with your family or building relationships or serving others. That to me was just the biggest shift is I don't want to manage things, and I don't necessarily want to manage people, but I want to manage relationships. I want to be in relationship with people better. What else, with your children, do your wife and you practice kind of how they, I think they call it a capsule wardrobe. Like, do you have 7 pairs of jeans and 10 tops and 3 pairs of shoes? Like, how nitty gritty has your family become? Or can you tell us a little bit about the people that you've met through your course and practices that they're doing?
Yeah, I can speak to myself and what I have done, and then I can talk about my wife and kids as well. So, yeah, man, the whole capsule wardrobe deal, I have found to be so wonderful. Like, I just love
I was hoping that would be your adjective because I love it too.
I had my closet full of clothes, right, and minimized, right, as we were going through kind of the first time through. And I like to talk about kind of going through your home in waves, we went through every room and then let's go back through and, see if there's any more that we missed that we can get rid of. But maybe cut my closet down in half. I don't remember, maybe down to like 50 or 60 things. And anyway, this lady out of Salt Lake City named Courtney Carver, she started this experiment called Project 333, where the idea was you would pick 33 articles of clothing and you would wear them, just those 33 things, for 3 months. And she counts shoes and outerwear and jewelry. She didn't count underwear or workout clothes, but everything else, just pick 33 things, and that's all you have for 3 months.
Okay.
And my closet was maybe, 60 things in there. And the idea of going down to 33, like, oh man, I don't know if I can do it. I live in Vermont, so it was winter time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, what's the worst that could happen if I just try it at least? And so got down to 33 pretty basic things, everything mixed and matched. Obviously, everything I really liked. Everything I had, I really liked and could wear with anything else. And got rid of I don't know, maybe this isn't so unbelievably genius, but I was like, if I just have black shoes and a black belt, like if everything matches black accessories, then I can get rid of the brown shoes and the brown belt and the brown watch, right? Like, sure. Just kind of really thinking through how to do this. So anyway, I went down to the 33 things. It's 3 months, October, November, and December, and I just loved it. Everything was in there. I like every piece of clothing was my favorite piece of clothing. I could wear anything with anything. Laundry was easier. Less decisions and it became an experiment that quickly became a lifestyle. I'm like, this is what I want. Like, this is 33 to 40. Like, this is when it gets to 40, it feels a little much, and I can start getting rid of some things to get back down to that number. So that's what I did, and that's what I still do.
How about your wife? Did she practice any of this, Joshua?
So my wife has never done she's never been as motivated to do the whole 33 thing. She certainly cut down her closet by, I don't know, probably half. Like, she probably did the first, cut it down in half, and I haven't been able to talk her into trying the 33 thing yet. Although I think that she'd probably like it. So anyway, my kids, my son probably gravitates towards that idea a lot more, and so I think most of his shorts match his shirts, and that works. And my daughter, she tends to like clothes a little bit more than my son. Sure. So it's more the, okay, that's fine as long as it fits in your drawers. There's a little bit of me that was like, she's 11. Do I really expect her to understand everything that took me 30 some years to figure out at age 11? Maybe that's unfair anyway. So. But, set some boundaries and some ideas and guidelines, and, who knows what she'll decide to do when she gets older.
Yeah, I like that. I work really good when there's a formula or there's a challenge because I'm so competitive with my own self. So I'm like, I'm going to try the 33. Mm-hmm. 33?
Project 333, yeah.
Project 333. Oh, now I said it out loud. I'm going to have to hold myself accountable because I am sure the listener's going to be like, hey, how's your Project 333 going?
Let's commit right now. And I would send everyone to it. I think the two common, it's great that a woman in Salt Lake City came up with the idea, because the two most common objections are, well, it works for you because you're a guy. Oh. And I'm like, no, she's not a guy. And then they say, well, it works for you because you live in warm weather. And I'm like, no, I didn't, and she didn't. So I think it's worth testing out, even if you have to change it to try. Maybe you're going to do 33 for 1 month or 33
Well,
for
I just think think about I'm big on, we're so crowded in our mental bandwidth anyways when we're taking care of all these. I have 4 little ones. So, well, they're not little. That would be very unfair to say that to Gus if he was staying here. 10, 7, 4, and 2. It would be difficult. It's difficult anyways to make sure everybody's got socks and shoes on. We have to have shoe buddies. When we get in the car, I'm like, check your shoe buddy. And then they have to check their partner to make sure the other one has shoes on, because they just run around on our farm. I'm like, we cannot show up to the grocery store anymore without somebody missing a shoe. Everybody's got to have their shoes on. But imagine if we took this even into our children's wardrobe, where you got a pair of rain boots, and they have this, guys. Check on Pinterest. There's all kinds of different examples for capsule wardrobes for kiddos. I just think it's brilliant. So I started doing it last winter, and I haven't officially checkmarked things, but for sure I've got at least 10 bottoms for the girls and 10 tops and 1 lightweight jacket. When I cleaned out their jackets, I had 7 denim jean jackets for 3 girls, 7 of them. No. So I did reserve ones that they would grow into so that I could save money, but I definitely put them in a tote, and it's clearly labeled, and put it away. And I couldn't believe how much weight had lifted after me when I don't have an argument last minute trying to get out to the car of, please put on your denim jean jacket. And they're like, well, I want to put on my pink soccer one. Well, you don't have that anymore. So this is your choice. Get out the door. And they weren't angry about it because I think they're relieved that mommy's not stressed trying to get them dressed.
Yeah. Yeah.
This minimalism will trickle down. I can't emphasize enough that it will trickle down into all areas of your life, into your physical, into your mental, into your spiritual, and even into your financial realms. It will trickle into all those different areas, and you'll find yourself lighter. That's exactly what I would say about it. You also wrote a book for kids, and what is that one called?
I have a book for parents called Clutter-Free with Kids. Clutter-Free with Kids.
Got it.
There's a few books. The More of Less is the most recent and probably the best book. Clutter-Free with Kids is written a little more for parents in particular. There's a short ebook called Simplify, which is a pretty good introduction, but it's pretty short, 30, 40 pages or so. And then I do have a book written for high school students, which is called Living with Less, An Unexpected Key to Happiness. And that was written for high school students and young adults. And that's from a pretty Christian perspective as well. I was a youth pastor for 15 years. I was a youth pastor before doing what I'm doing now. And so when I was still just getting out of being in youth ministry, I wanted to write a book for that demographic on this topic.
And when you mention that too, it's like when we do practice minimalism, how much better stewards we are of what he has gifted us, whether it's money or things or job opportunities or roles in our life. We can be so much better stewards, and he talks about that a lot in the Bible, like taking care of your things. And steward is not a complicated word. You can teach your kid what it means, and kids what it means. We do it a lot, and we're like, that's not being a very good steward when your room looks like that. So you can't keep these things anymore because you can't take care of all of them the best way.
On a spiritual tangent, minimalism really changed. Like I grew up in church. My grandpa's a pastor up in South Dakota. Like I grew up in church. Like I knew full well what Jesus, actually, like almost every respected religious leader from all time, like they all talk about owning less, and they all talk about simplicity and not, being burdened by the world. But I mean, Jesus, in particular. But it's very interesting, I think, reading what he would say about sell your possessions and give to the poor. And for some reason, I saw that as like this great sacrifice that I would take for him, right? Okay, he tells me to sell my possessions, so I will, because, I'm going to live this boring life, but I'll do it for, because Jesus tells me to. And until I started like actually living minimally and actually getting rid of things, and suddenly everything that Jesus said about owning less wasn't some burdensome weight that he was putting onto my life. It was just, hey, this is a better way to live. Like when I own less, I can be, more focused on things that matter and pursue more of the things that bring me joy, rather than just, constantly chasing bigger houses and nicer cars and all that. So anyway, if you don't mind me going down that road.
Another thing that I should ask you about, because the listeners are familiar with this, is we live in this 140-year-old farmhouse, and we bought Grandma's farmhouse 50 yards from us. Thankfully, Busley, we're super excited. So we've lived in 1 bathroom and 3 bedrooms, and it's worked out so far. But we are going to be moving there when we finish renovating it, and it is larger. It's got 3 bathrooms, and then Nick built the same studio space onto that place, my husband. But I was thinking, as I was talking to Nicholas about having you on, how excited I was, and we listened to your audiobook while we were renovating the bathroom and dining room chairs. Anyways, we just listened to your book, and Nick's like, I am not moving a single thing up to this house that isn't absolutely essential. And I was like, well, we should probably record that right now, because there's a lot of stuff that I want to make sure as well that we don't move up to this large space with extra. Is it possible to live a minimalist lifestyle even with more space?
Oh, sure. Although, I think it is genuinely far more difficult. There just seems to be a natural tendency to want to fill empty spaces, and I have room for this, and it wouldn't be in the way, and so I can get it, and I can put it in there. So it's yes, you certainly can. But I something about human nature seems like when there's space available, we tend to fill it. But I think you've got the right idea. I would say, number one, kind of embrace this idea of slow accumulation, where I don't have to furnish every room at first, and I can leave a closet empty. I don't have to fill it with something. I was going through I have this uncluttered course that take people through online, and I was talking to a lady one time who was asking a question. She had just decluttered her living room, and she had cleaned out a corner of her living room. And she's like, I stare at that empty corner, and I feel like I need to put something there. What should I do? And I said, I think what you should do is you should decide, at least for the next 2 weeks, that you're not going to put anything in the corner. Even go longer, go a month. I'm not going to put anything in that corner for a month. And after a month, if you decide that you really still need something in that corner, then go get something and put something in there. But it seems to be when the first reaction is, I need to fill this space with something, we never even get used to the idea of having an empty corner in the living room or having empty drawers in the kitchen, when, maybe even better once we try it out that way.
So, and then that makes me think, I wanted our island table that we built at the house was going to have cabinets underneath it. And I said, we don't need to spend the money on the cabinets. I'm not going to fill them. And my mother-in-law and my mother and my sister are like, oh my gosh, you're going to love having all this space. You'll have that much more room for X, Y, Z. And I said, I don't have any of those things, because we've lived in this farmhouse for 14 years. It's only got 1 bank of drawers, or, that 1 wall of drawers. I'm like, I don't foresee myself getting more. And they just could not get over that. And they still, when we have been putting the countertops on, they're still saying, I can't understand why you're not putting the cabinets in. And I'm like, so I shook with my mom as she's painting the cabinets. I said, I bet you I will have 3 empty drawers even when we move up here. So I did it to challenge myself as well, but to also to prove that this is a good thing, Mom. It's a good thing to have less. And so I'll have to follow up with listeners if I do, in fact, still have the 3 empty drawers and the no cabinets underneath the island table. But so far, I think it's a good idea.
It's just the generally accepted cultural norm, right? That we're gonna fill every space, and we're gonna be happier with more. And it's just very subtle, and it's just kind of this subconscious motivation that we have. And look, this might not be the right time to say this, because I mean no ill will towards it, but I found when I started removing things and minimizing our stuff, and starting to really ask myself, why did I buy all this stuff? Why do I have 3 van loads of things that I can take to local charities that I didn't actually need? And there's a part of me that can and appropriately blames society and culture and marketers, right? Like I can do that, but there's another side where I'm like, some of this motivation is from within me. There's a bit of jealousy or greed or even just conformity, that I think is inside all of us that is tough to wrestle with.
I think consuming things can be an avoidance of what spiritually is going on in us. We don't want to deal with it, and so sometimes we consume. Not everybody, but I think you're right. There's a big thing when you step back from it and you're like, whoa. Why did I consume so much during this time? It's maybe you were trying to avoid something that you needed to think through spiritually or mentally that was really burdensome, and so you were consuming just to avoid the feeling. It's the same thing with scrolling Facebook. It could be because you're trying to avoid some feelings you need to deal with.
Yeah. I've begun to see and kind of talk about how, like, when you don't have any money, when you have no means, and you are discontent with your life and what you have, then it turns up to like jealousy and envy and some of those things. But when you're discontent and you have means, it ends up looking like closets that are too full, drawers that don't shut, garages that we can't put our cars in, because we're discontent and we have the money, so we just go buy whatever it is we think that's going to make us happy, and we find out it doesn't, so we just go buy more and more and more. And I think in many ways our discontent is evidence in our excess. Someone who is, content with the life that they have and who they are doesn't need to go buy more and more all the time.
Yeah. So good. This has been absolutely so valuable. I scribbled as many notes as I have for a book from taking down all of your advice. I highly encourage you to look up Joshua Becker. Tell us where we can find you and what we can do to keep following you.
The website is becomingminimalist.com, and pretty much everything I do tends to run through there. You can certainly find me on Facebook and Twitter. There's a number of books, as I mentioned. We started a nonprofit a couple of years ago based on from the book that we wrote, but pretty much Becoming Minimalist tends to be the home base, and almost everything seems to run through there. So I send people there. And
for our listeners who move a million miles an hour because of all our different roles, do you have audio forms of all of your books?
No, actually, The More of Less is the only book that is in audio format. Yep.
Awesome. But we'll start with that one, crew.
Yes, it's the best of them all anyway. So
that's excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time. Kiddos just got home from school. I can hear them.
Perfect.
And we just appreciate your time. I can't wait to take your course. I'm going to continue recording some podcasts here on how Nick and I go through the course.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, assuming the course goes well for you, then I appreciate you talking about it.
I think so far, he was up there with me when we were listening to the audiobook, and he's like, let's do it. So far, we're in the zone.
That's great.
Thank you so much, Joshua. You have a great weekend.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate the conversation.
Okay, encouragers, we got this. Follow up with us.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you've not done so, please subscribe to the show so that the latest episode will always be conveniently available on your device. You can also find the show notes on my website at shoprsd.com. That's shop with R as in Rebekah, S as in Scott, and D as in designs.com. The Encourager Podcast tab is at the bottom of my website with the reflection guides. And also be sure to check out our Facebook page where we encourage one another weekly, and then any information on coaching with me, and also the Becca Days or the Becca Workshops. I sincerely hope you feel encouraged and empowered to tackle anything that comes your way this week. Remember to be grateful, humble, and kind, then joy will come ushering in. We got this, encouragers.